Hello everyone, welcome to the second test for C programming on the Mac. In these tests, as you've seen previously, I give you a sample program or sample output, and then you create the code that generates that output. So today's test has this sample output here. Basically, it works like this. On the first row, your first digit will be squared. On the second row, your second digit will be squared. Third row, the third digit will be squared. Fourth, the fourth will be squared, and etc. until we get to the sixth row. And then that's how it works. So we have 6 rows and 6 total digits going across, including the stars. So just take a look at this and figure out what you're going to have to do for this. And I'll come back in 5 seconds and then I'll show you how to complete this. Alright, see you in 5 seconds. Alright, so now that you've had time to hopefully write your program and you paused the video, finished all your code, now let's go over how to actually complete this. So, we start out here, it's very similar to the first test that we did. It just involves a few different things, but it's very, very similar. Basically, the code is generally the same. We have 2 for loops that we need to create. One loop to go across and one loop so that it can go down. And then we need some kind of condition inside this where it will know how to square each number. Alright, so as you can see, I've already included the math.h function, which you can accomplish this in more than one way, but the math.h function is probably the easiest way to accomplish this. So you could have done this without math.h, but it's a lot easier to do power functions with math.h. So let's go ahead and create 2 variables for our for loops, and we'll create the first for loop. We'll set I equal to 1, and we'll set that I, as long as I is less than or equal to 6, because we want 6 rows going across, or 6 digits going across. And then we'll put I++ in there. Now our second for loop, so that we can actually, originally the first for loop is to go down, but the second for loop is to go across. So for the digits across, we use the same thing. It's just j this time. So j gets 1, and as long as j is less than or equal to 6, since we have 6 stars going across, and the I is for the 6 stars going down, so the j, or for loop here, will be the stars going across. So we had 6 stars going across, and now for our increment here, we're just going to j++ to increment j by 1 each time. So now we need some kind of condition in here, because what happens in our code is that on the first line, or the first digit in the first line, then it's squared, and in the second digit in the second line, it's squared. So we have to have some kind of condition to meet this. So first, we're going to start out with an if statement, and our condition is going to be if j is equal to I. Since if I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 1, that means that in the first row, in the first digit, that's the one that we want to be squared. And then if I is 2 and j is 2, that means it's the second row and the second digit, which is what we want to happen. We want those to be squared. So now we'll just do a printf, and we want them to be in integer form. Now we're going to use our pow function, which is to raise something to the power of something, and in this case we're squaring a number. So what we want to do is we can take j or we can take I, it doesn't really matter. You can take either or. So j, and we'll put it to the power of 2. And since pow, it uses doubles, it doesn't use ints, so we're going to have to use typecasting, and we'll just put int out in front. And again, I'll cover more on typecasting later on, but we've covered the basics right now, just for putting an integer in front of a double, and that it allows you to use it for the %d format specifier for the printf. and basically it allows it to know that this function is just, it basically turns it into an integer, and then it can be used in %d for your printf. So now for our second part, we need it to also print out the stars when we're not printing out this. So we're going to want an else statement as well, or if else. And here for the next part, we want to print out just stars. So then we'll do a star like that. So as you can see, when j and I are equal to each other, as happens here, it's going to be squared. And otherwise, it's going to be printing out stars. So that's where all the other stars come from. Now, the last step in here is to put in a \n every time we go entire row across. So we don't want it in this for loop, because this for loop is all the stars going across. So we want it just after this for loop, because that means one row has completed. So now we'll put a printf in here, and we'll say %d, and, or sorry, not %d, what am I talking about? We want a \n so that we can go down one row. So then we'll just save, and we'll build and run this. And as you can see in our output, I'll build and run it again. As you can see, we get the exact same thing that we got originally. So that's how you complete this sample test, or this program. If you have any questions on how I did anything in this test, please feel free to leave your questions in the comments. And if you have any questions on anything from the Apple Programming channel, please feel free to send me a message or leave suggestions or whatever on the channel. Alright, I'll see you next test or next tutorial, and please subscribe. Thanks.